for the start of the Premier League campaign. Sadly, a few players, Jack Wilshere, Javier Hernandez, Theo Walcott, have already picked up injuries. So let's find out just how bad they are and how long he expects them to be out for. From PhysioRoom.com, Stuart Mills joins us on TalkSPORT. Good afternoon, Stuart. How are you going?
Good afternoon.
Thanks. Have you got a tattoo, by the way?
I don't know.
Would you get one?
No. We've got a tattoo artist who works here actually in the office, and he's tried to make me have one, but no, there's no chance.
Why have you got a tattooist that works at PhysioRoom.com?
It's one of his part-time activities, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he'll say, like, your leg's going to take another month to repair itself. Would you like some maybe snake eyes on your shoulder or something?
Well, the chap in question has a bizarre tattoo of a moustache on his neck, so I can't really work it out. But
sorry, Stuart, sorry. From this end, it sounded like you said he had a moustache tattooed on his neck.
He does indeed, yeah. It's one of the bizarrest things I've ever seen, but yeah.
What sort of moustache?
Like the shape of a moustache, but tattooed onto the side of his neck.
Yeah, no, I know that, but like a big bushy one or a little thin one?
Yeah, more like a sort of bushy waiter style moustache.
Oh, and it goes thin at the end?
Yeah.
How strange. And you've never said to him, Dave, why have you got a tattoo on your neck of a moustache? You've never said that to him?
Yeah, I've asked the question. He's not sure.
Okay, fine. Strange man. Listen, Stuart, thanks for coming on the show. I mentioned there a few players that have already sadly picked up injuries. One of them sadly for Liverpool and England as well. Steven Gerrard, a recurring groin problem. He's got infected now. What do you make of this? And is it unusual for an injury like that to get an infection?
Yeah, I mean, he's had the groin surgery sort of earlier on in the year. It's now become infected from there. The situation that he's in at the moment is they don't think it'll be too long for him to return. I don't think they're going to be rushing him back for the England qualifiers at the start of September, but it looks like he'll be back for around about the 10th of September, the England game after those friendlies.
What would be in the blood? Would it be something that's gone sour in his body, or
is it just one of those things that you'll get an infection, or has the wound been opened and?
I think there's any chance when you're having some sort of surgery, there is obviously the chance of infection from that as the surgery heals. So it can happen. You can have setbacks with it. So I think that's what's happened on this occasion.
Have you noticed, Stuart, at all that injuries for footballers, they've changed over the years with technology, if you like? I was having this conversation, I think, with Cundy on Saturday on the Breakfast Show, and asked, did he ever play when blades, with the studs at the bottom of the boot? Nowadays, a lot of players wear blades, and has injuries changed? And we've heard the word metatarsal used so many times, which no one had heard of 10, 12 years ago. Are you finding that players nowadays are getting different injuries to what they were getting, say, 10 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, I think because there's a lot more sort of media attention on sport, a lot more sort of insight into how the game goes. There is before it may have been reported as a foot injury, and now there is a bit more detail as people become a bit more clued up as the exact injury, what a player's got. The fact there has been studies though linking blades to an increase in injuries. There needs to be a bit more research done on it. Yeah, but it has been linked to an increase in injuries.
Stuart, which camp are you in? Are you in the new scientific camp or the old-fashioned camp where, i.e., there was no blades, you wore a stud or you wore a rubber? There's no long-distance running now. What's the longest you have? 12 minutes? 12 minutes they run, or they run in 3 or 4 miles? Because if you run those distances, you get a core fitness in your stomach, and it builds up all your strength in your muscles and your metatarsals. But I just think the modern day scientific way is creating problems for the modern day player.
I think if you give the player the option of a type of football boot that allows you to turn quicker, move faster, run quicker, due to the arrangement of the blades, a player's going to take that option. If there's a second chance of turning quickly on the blade and like the foot getting caught in the turf, as we've seen with some injuries, then obviously that's a concern of the players as well. But the modern day player will be looking at any edge that they can get in the game.
Let me get your view on Javier Hernandez, who's been suffering, or may have been suffering, from a long-standing brain condition. which is what's being reported. A few players have said, or a few people that were with him when he was playing as a youth player, that he used to suffer from acute migraines. When a player signs for a new club and they do all the different tests on them, this is something I'm guessing that they can't be tested for, Stuart?
I mean, there would be a standard medical, and the top clubs would be doing scans of this nature as well. I think with Hernandez, where he's actually taken a bang on the head in training as well, and that's led to him having a bit of sickness whilst he's been over in the States. He's had to have a couple of nights in hospital. Well, I think it was one night he had in hospital, just under observation there. I think he'll be okay. I think we'll be seeing him back in action fairly shortly. Probably not the Charity Shield, but maybe on the bench for the first Premier League game. But
can you find these sort of things out when players are going to join a club and they go for a test beforehand? Can you scan for these, or is it just something you've got to take the player's word for, that you have to say, have you had any problems with headaches or migraines, and whatever they say, you've got to take them for their word?
They'll be going through the player's medical record, and they will be doing in-depth tests. I think Manchester United will have looked at that and not thought it was something of a concern.
Okay. What's the latest on Theo Walcott? I know he's got an ankle injury and was sent home early from Arsenal's German training camp.
Yeah, I think he's probably looking at 1 to 2 weeks with that particular injury as well. Again, I think it'll be a similar case to Wilshere, that he'll probably miss the England game, but then be back to play for Arsenal back in the Premier League.
On the injury to a Bolton Wanderers player, I don't know whether you've read about this.
Chung Young Lee.
Yeah, Chung Young Lee had a double leg fracture. It's his tib and his fib. Just tell the listeners how long, how long is he going to be out for, and then what's his. Will
he ever be the same?
Well, these are questions. How far, we don't know where the break was it near the ankle or higher up. Just tell the listeners how long it's going to take him really to get back to full fitness.
Well, for this one, they're estimating around sort of 9 months before he's back. We saw a similar sort of injury last season with Ben Arthur at Newcastle. He was again estimated to be out for 9 months, and it took a little longer, and we didn't see him back in the first team playing to his full potential towards the end of the season, like was initially predicted. So it's a tricky one. With this player, it's difficult. I mean, they're estimating 9 months. Maybe slightly sooner, but it's tricky with an injury of this nature for a player to get back to the bone, recovering fully, but also having the strength and the confidence mentally to be able to play to the same level.
Stuart, thanks for coming on. Will you do me a favour? If you find out why your pal had a tattoo of a moustache on his neck, will you just phone in and let us know something?
We'll do. We'll put it on PhysioRoom Twitter feed. So you can
better than that, Stuart. Get him to ring his yourself.
Get him to ring in. Okay, all right, lovely. Stuart, thanks very much. Enjoy the rest of the day. Cheers, pal.